56. The motion is agreed to. Call now on Government Orders of the Day numbers 1 to 5.
Debate on the performance and current operations of Crown entities, public organisations and state enterprises, consideration in committee. Immigration Amendment Bill, committee stage continued. Legal Assistance Amendment Bill, committee stage. Airports Cost Recovery for Processing of International Travellers Bill, committee stage continued. Plumbers and Gas Fitters and Drain Layers Amendment Bill, committee stage.
I declare the House in committee for further consideration of the debate on the performance and current operations of Crown entities, public organisations and state enterprises, further consideration of the Immigration Amendment Bill, consideration of the Legal Assistance Amendment Bill, further consideration of the Airports, Cost Recovery and Processing of International Travellers Bill, and consideration of the Plumbers, Gas Fitters and Drain Layers Amendment Bill. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker. Members, the House and Committee for further consideration of the performance in the 2011-12 and current operations of Crown entities, public organisations and state enterprises, further consideration of the Immigration Amendment Bill, consideration of the Legal Assistance Amendment Bill, further consideration of the Airports Cost Recovery for Processing of International Travellers Bill, and consideration of the Plumbers, Gas Fitters and Drain Layers Amendment Bill. We move first to the debate on the financial review of Crown entities, public organisations and state enterprises. There are 31 minutes of this debate remaining. When we were last considering this matter, we were debating the financial review of the New Zealand Qualifications Authority. The question is that the report of the Education and Science Committee, the 2011-12 financial review of the Qualifications Authority be noted. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. I understand the next entity members wish to debate is New Zealand Teachers Council. The question is that the report of the New Zealand Teachers Council, Council of the Education and Science Committee on the 2011-12 financial review of New Zealand Teachers Council be noted. I call Catherine Delahunty. I heard her first. she got in first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This speech will not be as melodramatic as the previous debate. There will be no offence, I think no personal abuse and no... true. Mr Hipkins, alias Maturia Ture, is speaking today, so anything could happen. That's true. There seemed to be a bit of identity confusion in Parliament today, but I would like to just speak about the Teachers' Council. Despite its lack of Shakespearean drama, I do think it's an important issue. The Teachers' Council has been reviewed in the past year, and this review appears to be welcome. Across the education sector and across the parties, everybody felt that this was a useful thing to do, although not all the 24 recommendations from the Teachers' Council review are acceptable. The debates that have come through about the work of the Teachers' Council in the past year are around whether we should create an independent statutory body such as a medical council, for example, where doctors basically look after the issues of doctors, and so teachers would be more than capable of doing that, or whether we should just improve the existing Teachers' Council. And I think there's a lot of support for the idea of an independent statutory body because it would recognise the importance of the profession. The Teachers' Council, as it exists right now, is about the protection of professionalism, mainly through registration and discipline of registered teachers. And government has said that this is ineffective. However, government's response to this supposed ineffectiveness, which may have grounds, is curious. There is an opportunity through the Teachers' Council to do some interesting professional work around teacher appraisal, registered teacher criteria and professional standards. But what has been suggested for as one of the recommendations is quite strange, and it relates to the underlying privatisation agenda of the government. The government says that professionalism, registration and standards are extremely vital, but they're now suggesting a whole new category of unregistered staff in schools, which Mr Chair, can undermine the whole raison d'etre of having a Teachers' Council which looks after registration and professionalism. So it is actually quite a contradictory situation. This new authority to educate, which is broader than the current limited authority to teach, may not appear to mean anything, but actually, like many things in the education sector, it has a strong drive towards policy that the government's pushing through around privatisation and the lack of recognition of what a teacher actually does. This broader authority to educate can include scenarios such as this, one where a former teacher who's been deregistered, possibly for serious misdemeanours, can now apply for a broader authority to educate if they have quote-unquote proven expertise. And the examples that were discussed at our select committee with this Crown entity were alarming because the entity itself didn't raise these issues, but some of the committee members talked about anyone who might have a degree in physics, for example, would be suitable for teaching in a primary school, and presumably under charter schools or using the authority to educate in its broader sense, a lecturer can be a teacher. And this is a fundamental destruction of the profession if it says that no skills in teaching are actually required. All you need to do is know how to lecture. Now, myself, having been a tutor and many other people here, I would never call myself a teacher. The point about this is that people can have knowledge and have expertise in tutoring adults, as some of us do, but that is very, very different from having the pedagogical process which teacher training offers. And I'm all for improvement. I think there's more we could do to improve the pedagogy, but definitely allowing more deregistered teachers under the Teachers' Council and making this Crown entity responsible for a contradiction is not going to be an improvement. So that was really concerning when we heard that idea. The idea that teaching is not a skilled and dynamic process that relies on a pedagogical background is very scary. But of course, what's behind this in terms of this Crown entity? They're now being possibly asked to have oversight over the new charter schools which passed through the House last week, where you can have up to 100% unregistered teachers. I would suspect that they probably won't have 100% unregistered teachers, but they will have some staff who are under the Teachers' Council who are registered properly and meeting professional standards and will be managed by the Teachers' Council in that form, and then a category of people who are not registered and not required to meet that same standards. And this is going to create division, confusion, irregularity, conflict, and practice that is by no means, even in the government's own terminology, the idea of national and standard. There will not be a national standard for teachers. There will not be consistency.
Chris Hipkins.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair. Mr Chair, there are few policies that or few areas of government